You know, before Oprah Winfrey became the billionaire media mogul we know today, she was fired from her first television job. Her boss told her she was unfit for television news. Can you imagine? The woman who would later become one of the most influential voices in media was told she wasn't good enough. But here's the secret that changed everything for her. And it's the same principle Napoleon Hill discovered when he studied over 500 millionaires. Oprah didn't just accept that feedback and give up. Instead, she did something most people never do. She changed the conversation she was having with herself. Every morning, she would look in the mirror and say, "I am enough. I am worthy. I will find my path." While others saw her failure, she saw her future. This wasn't just positive thinking. This was strategic self-programming. She was literally rewiring her brain for success. The sacrifice? She had to kill the voice of doubt that lived in her head. The voice that said, "Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not cut out for this." That internal battle, my friend, is where fortunes are won or lost. Because here's what Napoleon Hill discovered. Your wealth isn't determined by your circumstances. It's determined by the conversation you have with yourself about those circumstances. And what happened next? Oprah didn't just become successful. She became a billionaire who changed millions of lives. But it all started with 3 simple words she repeated to herself daily. Want to know what they were? Here's what we're going to uncover today, and I promise you, if you stick around until the end, you'll discover something that could fundamentally change your relationship with money in the next 90 days. Not overnight. I'm not selling you fairy tales here, but genuinely, measurably change your financial trajectory. See, most people think increasing their income is about finding the right opportunity, the perfect moment, or having some special talent. That's the lie that keeps people broke. The truth? It's about mastering the most powerful tool you already own, your internal dialogue. Napoleon Hill spent 20 years studying the wealthiest people of his time, and he found something disturbing. The difference between those who made millions and those who stayed struggling wasn't education, connections, or even luck. It was something far more sinister and yet completely within your control. I'm going to share with you 5 strategies that feel almost uncomfortable because they force you to confront the real reason you're not where you want to be financially. These aren't feel-good platitudes. These are the harsh realities that successful people embrace while others run from them. But here's the intriguing part, and this is why you need to watch until the very end. The last strategy I'll share is so simple that most people dismiss it. Yet it's the one that Oprah, Steve Jobs, and countless others used to literally reprogram their minds for wealth. Are you ready to discover what you've been saying to yourself that's been sabotaging your financial future? Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that's when everything changes. Teaching 1. The mirror test. Face your financial truth. Did you know that most people avoid looking at their bank account the same way they avoid looking in certain mirrors? There's a psychological reason for this, and it's keeping you broke. Napoleon Hill discovered that every wealthy person he studied had one thing in common. They faced their financial reality head-on, no matter how uncomfortable it was. They didn't hide from their numbers. They didn't make excuses. They looked directly at where they were and accepted it as their starting point, not their final destination. Here's what nobody tells you. Your brain is designed to avoid pain, and for most people, their financial situation is painful to acknowledge. So instead of facing it, they distract themselves. They scroll social media, binge Netflix, anything to avoid that uncomfortable truth. But wealthy people do something different. Every morning they look in the mirror and have an honest conversation with themselves. Not a pep talk, a reality check. This is where I am. This is where I'm going. What needs to change today? The sacrifice here is giving up the comfort of denial. It's uncomfortable to admit you're not where you want to be. But here's the reward. Once you stop running from your reality, you can actually change it. Start tomorrow morning. Look in the mirror and say, I see you, I see where we are, and I'm ready to do what it takes to change this. But here's the challenge. Most people will say these words but won't mean them. How do you make sure you actually mean it? That's what we'll cover next. Teaching 2. The Wealth Mindset Shift. From Victim to Creator. What Napoleon Hill found most intriguing was that poor people and rich people have completely different conversations with themselves about the same situations. When faced with a problem, the poor person asks, "Why does this always happen to me?" The wealthy person asks, "How can I profit from this?" This isn't about being cold or heartless. It's about programming your brain to look for opportunities instead of excuses. Your internal dialogue is either making you money or costing you money. There's no neutral ground. Here's the secret that will make you uncomfortable. Every time you complain, you're training your brain to focus on problems instead of solutions. Every time you say, "I can't afford it," you're programming scarcity. Every time you blame external circumstances, you're giving away your power to change them. Wealthy people have learned to catch themselves in these victim patterns and immediately flip the script. Instead of, "I can't afford it," they ask, "How can I afford it?" Instead of, "This is too hard," they ask, "What skills do I need to develop to make this easier?" The transformation starts when you realize that your current financial situation is the result of thousands of small conversations you've had with yourself. Change the conversation, change the outcome. But here's what's disturbing. Even when people understand this principle, most still sabotage themselves with one specific phrase that Napoleon Hill called the poverty virus. What is this phrase, and how do you eliminate it from your vocabulary? Keep watching. Teaching 3. The Power of Strategic Discomfort. Lo que nadie te dice is that comfort is the enemy of wealth. Napoleon Hill observed that every millionaire he studied had developed an unusual relationship with discomfort. They actively sought it out. While most people organize their entire lives around avoiding discomfort, the awkward conversation, the difficult skill to learn, the scary investment, wealthy people have flipped this script entirely. They've programmed themselves to get excited about discomfort because they know it signals growth. Here's the intriguing part. Your brain can't tell the difference between the discomfort of growth and the discomfort of danger. To your primitive brain, both feel threatening. So most people avoid both, which means they avoid all growth opportunities. But successful people have retrained their internal dialogue around discomfort. Instead of saying, "This feels scary, I should avoid it," they say, "This feels scary, which means it's probably where my breakthrough is waiting." Think about it. Every skill that pays you well today was once uncomfortable to learn. Every relationship that benefits you now required uncomfortable conversations at the beginning. Every dollar in your bank account came from doing something that once felt difficult. The wealthy person's secret weapon is this internal conversation. The discomfort I feel today is the price I pay for the freedom I'll have tomorrow. They've made discomfort their friend because they know comfort is expensive. It costs them their future. But here's the trap most people fall into when they try to embrace discomfort. They choose the wrong kind of discomfort, which actually keeps them poor. Want to know the difference? The next principle reveals everything. Teaching 4. The Daily Decision Matrix. ¿Sabías que successful people make decisions differently than struggling people? Napoleon Hill discovered that wealthy individuals have developed what he called the Daily Decision Matrix, a way of evaluating every choice through the lens of long-term wealth building. Here's how it works. Before making any decision, wealthy people ask themselves 3 questions. Will this move me closer to or further from my financial goals? Will this decision pay dividends in the future? Am I choosing short-term comfort or long-term freedom? Most people make decisions based on how they feel in the moment. Tired, they skip the networking event. Stressed, they order takeout instead of cooking. Overwhelmed, they binge TV instead of learning a new skill. These seem like small choices, but they compound into financial mediocrity. Successful people have programmed themselves to make decisions based on their future self, not their current feelings. When they're tired, they still go to the networking event because they know their future self will thank them. When they're stressed, they still invest time in learning because they understand that skills are the only true security. The internal dialogue shift sounds like this. Instead of, "What do I feel like doing?" they ask, "What would the millionaire version of me do right now?" This single question has created more wealth than any investment strategy or business plan. But here's the disturbing truth. Even when people start using this matrix, they often sabotage themselves with one critical mistake that keeps them trapped in the same financial patterns. What is this mistake, and how do you avoid it? That's what we'll explore next. Teaching 5. The compound effect of self-talk. This is where Napoleon Hill's research gets truly fascinating. He discovered that wealthy people don't just think differently. They literally speak to themselves differently, and this creates what he called the compound effect of self-talk. Here's what most people don't realize. You have approximately 60,000 thoughts per day, and 80% of them are the same thoughts you had yesterday. If those thoughts are focused on lack, limitation, and fear, you're literally programming yourself for financial struggle every single day. Successful people have learned to interrupt these automatic thought patterns and replace them with what Hill called prosperity programming. They don't just hope for success, they talk themselves into it daily. The specific language matters. Instead of, "I hope I can make more money," they say, "I am actively creating multiple income streams." Instead of, "Money is hard to come by," they say, "I attract financial opportunities everywhere I go." Instead of, "I'm not good with money," they say, "I am learning to master money every day." This isn't just positive thinking, it's strategic mental conditioning. Your subconscious mind doesn't judge these statements as true or false. It simply works to make whatever you consistently tell it become reality. But here's the secret weapon that Napoleon Hill discovered. There's one specific phrase that, when repeated daily for just 3 days, begins to rewire your brain's relationship with money. It's so simple that most people dismiss it, yet it's been used by more millionaires than any other single technique. Want to know what it is? I'll reveal it in just a moment, but first, let me show you how to apply all of this, even if you're starting from absolute zero. If today your bank account is at zero or worse, this section is specifically for you. And I want you to know something. You're not behind, you're not broken, and you're definitely not hopeless. You're simply at the perfect starting point for transformation. Here's what Napoleon Hill discovered that will change everything for you. Every millionaire he studied started with the same amount of money in their head. Zero knowledge about wealth building. The difference wasn't their starting bank balance. It was their starting conversation with themselves. Right now, I want you to do something. Look around your room and say out loud, "This is my starting point, not my ending point. Everything I need to succeed already exists. I just need to develop the skills to access it." Ya estás un paso adelante because you decided to watch this video to this point. That decision, to invest your time in learning rather than entertainment, that's already millionaire thinking. Here's your concrete starting plan. For the next 7 days, spend the first 10 minutes of your morning having a different conversation with yourself. Instead of checking your phone, stand in front of a mirror and say, "I am actively learning how to create wealth. Every skill I develop today increases my value tomorrow. I am exactly where I need to be to begin. But here's the key. You need to feel uncomfortable saying these words at first. If it feels natural, you're not pushing yourself hard enough. The discomfort means you're breaking old programming. Then, identify one skill that could increase your income within 90 days. Not a get-rich-quick scheme, a real skill. Digital marketing, copywriting, coding, sales, negotiation. Spend 30 minutes daily learning it. Comparte tu opinión. What skill are you going to develop? Comment below and tell me what you're committing to learn. Let's create accountability together. So here we are at the end, and I need to leave you with something that might disturb you, but it's the truth Napoleon Hill discovered that most people aren't ready to hear. Success isn't for everyone, not because some people are more talented or lucky, but because most people aren't willing to pay the real price for success. And that price isn't money. It's the sacrifice of your old identity. The conversation you have with yourself right now, in this moment, is either the same conversation that will keep you exactly where you are, or it's the beginning of something completely different. The choice is yours, but you have to choose. Are you willing to give up the comfortable lies you tell yourself about why you can't succeed? Are you ready to look in the mirror every morning and demand more from the person staring back at you? Because here's what's haunting. 5 years from now, you'll be somewhere. The question isn't whether time will pass. It will. The question is whether you'll be in the same financial situation, having the same internal conversations, making the same excuses, or whether you'll be the person who decided that today was the day everything changed. The secret phrase I mentioned? It's simply this. I am becoming the person who naturally attracts wealth. Say it for 3 days. Watch what happens to your decisions, your opportunities, your entire reality. But most people will close this video and do nothing with what they've learned. They'll go back to their old conversations, their old patterns, their old results. I want to know who's actually ready to change their story. Let me see who's willing to pay the price for a different life.